Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast slash YouTube slash We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. And we got a real special guest in the building, man. He's the host of the head of the sports headline show. He's also the host of Lakersnation, providing the people with a lot of great Lakers content, Lakers coverage, man. We got my guy, Sean Davis, in the building. My guy, how you doing?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on. And I'm not the host of Lakersnation yet. Still got to give shout out to the OG Trev, but Trev's been out sick, so I guess fill-in host. But yeah, thanks for inviting me on, and I'm ready to talk some basketball with you.
Yes, sir, man. You and Trev doing a great job over there at Lakers Nation, man. And for all the family, before we get into the episode, make sure you check out all of Sean's work. I'll link everything in the description down below, all his profiles, everything from Lakers Nation. He's also a contributor on the Raptors, so check that out, man. Everything will be in the description down below. But let's go ahead and get into it, Sean. I mean, today is Monday, May 1st. We just seen the Warriors just yesterday eliminate the Kings on the back of Curry's 50-point historic game. That was wild, but that means that, second round, they're ready to face our Lakers that were, feet up, kick back, just waiting to see who he's going to play. So that means that we got Warriors versus Lakers. And what we got you on here today, Sean, to talk about is, who do you have? Give us your thoughts on some of the series and, ultimately in how many games?
Yeah, so personally, it took me a while. I definitely rather from a Lakers like least route of difficulty. I wanted Sacramento. I would have said Sacramento Lakers in 5 against Sacramento. I ultimately came to the conclusion of Lakers in 6 against Golden State, and I'm not disrespecting any of them. Like Steph is Steph. We all know he's insane. Clay can go berserk whenever. Jordan Poole is having a down year, but he's capable of a random 30-point game whenever. And then we know the other role players like Wiggs, Draymond, Looney, stuff like that. But I came to the conclusion not Warriors, Lakers in 6. But I looked at the film. There wasn't much that Golden State did. Let me backtrack. The Lakers, the way we guarded Golden State and how we defended them lined up with how I would game plan for Golden State to take away some of their best stuff. And yeah, so I came away with the conclusion Lakers in 6. And also, I'm not sure how well they can guard AD without them making an adjustment early in the series.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly where I'm at too. My prediction is also Lakers in 6, and that's the number one thing I think about, right? So I think that, in my opinion, there's like three to four main reasons as to really why I have the Lakers winning. And that first one, you hit it on the nail. You talked about AD. I think that's going to cause matchup nightmares for the Warriors. And I know it in most situations. I mean, AD is if he's healthy, he's a top big in this league, so he causes a mismatch on just about against any team. But with the Warriors and in playoffs, I think it really doesn't work out for them because the Lakers can match their small ball, right? The Warriors like to go small ball. They run Kevon Looney, who's their center, right? 6'9", 223 at the 5. The Lakers can easily match that and bring Ruchi and bring Ruchi Hakamura in, who's also 6'9", 230, and match that small ball. But if the Lakers want to decide to go big when they run Anthony Davis at the 5, the Warriors don't really have no answer for that. So that's my first, I guess, area concern from the Warriors. And the Lakers side, I think that's just going to be feasted all day on Anthony Davis is going to feast.
Yeah, I think they have the sets and the stuff to get AD going. It's more so it's about using them in the appropriate situation. I said this heading into the Grizzlies series, and this is the biggest difference between Memphis and Golden State in my eyes. Memphis was a lot easier for me to scout. I'm working on a 10-page scouting report for this matchup with Golden State because it's a lot harder to scout them, right? They do this one thing and they do it well. Like Memphis, they did one thing in terms of how they helped on post-ups or how they helped on pick and rolls and stuff like that. They did it well, but if you figured it out, which the Lakers did very, very early in that series, if you figured it out, they didn't show much of a counter, whereas Golden State, it's 3-4 different things you have to worry about in terms of different coverages to throw at you. So that is the one thing I'll give Golden State a lot more credit for, is that versatility, not only just the players they have, but this where Steve Kerr's greatness from a coach standpoint comes in. The fact that he can throw at you 3-4 different looks in a span of a single game, and you kind of have to pick your poison or like kind of play a guessing game of which one are they going to do this time. So the level of unpredictability there with Golden State is definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely, and I think it was a great point how you bring up, the coaching matchups. And I personally, I'm not gonna lie, I'm on the side of Darvin Ham is not the greatest coach ever. I'm not gonna lie, I just can't stand his lineups. I don't understand why Lonnie Walker hasn't been getting any minutes. But that's a whole nother conversation. But what I was gonna get into with you was like, do you, in that Grizzlies series, I don't feel like the coaching disparity was too big. I think Taylor Jenkins, Darvin Ham, just about around the same amount of coaches. But Steve Kerr, I think he's a far more experienced and a better coach than Darvin Ham in this situation. Do you fear, like, as a Lakers fan, of any Steve Kerr coming in, like making this game a real chess match, like a lot of coaches do, deep in playoffs?
Yeah, I think the chess match is going to be really, really fun to watch. I disagree with what you said about the first round. I had a tweet and people tried to cook me for it, and they failed miserably because I was right. I thought Darvin outcoached Taylor by a large margin in that first round. I think I'm not trying to just like take anything away from Taylor. I still think ultimately he's still a good coach. I'd still probably say Taylor is a better coach, but I think in that individual series, Darvin was the better coach and he outcoached them in that series. And I'm going to agree with you on the take about like Darvin's not the greatest coach. I agree with you. A lot of people, for some reason, I think Darvin's the best thing ever. No, I think he's average. I think he's mid. He's just fine. But there's a lot of discourse about him being the worst ever, and that's where I'm like, okay. So, for example, if everybody thought he was the greatest ever, I would be lower on him. I would probably drop it down more. But yeah. So, but anyway, to answer the question, yeah, it's gonna be a chess match. Steve's gonna make it a chess match. But in the chess match areas, especially from a tactical standpoint, Darvin's won me over. So, yeah, I think it'll be a chess match, but it'll be really, really fun to watch for sure.
Man, for sure, for sure. Okay, but then I mean the number one questions I'm getting, from the fans out there, from my, because I live in the Bay Area, so I have to hear the Warriors fans. All,
Oh,
I know it's a tough one. I'm a Lakers fan that's been living in the Bay, so I've been having to hear it. And number one thing I hear is like, "What are you guys gonna do about Curry? What are you guys gonna do about Curry?"
mm.
So I was watching the stream, right? So I know your opinion. You know how we probably shouldn't put Jared Vanderbilt on Curry, but I kind of wanted to go a little bit back and forth with you on that, because I'm actually more in the opinion of the team of putting Jared Vanderbilt on Curry. I mean, with players like that, you can't guard him one on one. There's no guarding one on one. You're gonna have to send boxing ones, doubles, like whatever it is. But I think that throughout Curry's career, he's always tend to struggle with like those bigger and stronger defenders, because we can kind of muscle him around a little bit, kind of move him around. And I think that Jared Vanderbilt in this situation would be perfect. But I agree that he's not great off those on ball, and I mean off those off ball screens. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on how do we defend Curry? I mean, how do you try to defend a great like that?
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack. So I'm gonna first start off of why I'm not the biggest fan of Vando, and then I'll kind of work my way through. The Vando piece is interesting because there's a bunch of clips going around from like one single game in like 2020 or something where Vando did fine, right? The clips are encouraging, sure. But my like pause or like my pushback on that is Golden State, like Vando is great if I got a guy that's great in one on ones. Like that's why he worked so well with Anthony Edwards or like Luka Doncic. It was great, right? And Luka does ball screens, but Luka's also still a heavy ISO player. So you're like, okay, like he's not great with screens, but Luka uses so much ISO, it kind of balances itself out, if you know what I'm saying. Steph is the exact opposite. When he does ISO, he's good, but like to put it like make it simple, Steph scores off of ISOs, or like the Warriors offense score off of ISOs like 2 possessions a game, where in terms of ball screens, it's like Steph Curry ball screens, it's like 13 possessions a game. So sure, Steph is gonna cook Austin Reeves or whoever for 2 possessions, but I'll take those 2 possessions over Steph cooking Vando in ball screens 14 times in a single game. So I'm just playing the numbers there, and then you have to worry about some of the other stuff too. In theory, it kind of makes some sense, but I'm playing the 14s more than 2 game math. And then kind of walking my way into like, how do you guard Steph? You kind of said it for me. You really don't. and that's like not optimal. I mean, you have to try, right? But you can't, right? With any of the, in my opinion, with any of the elite players, you don't guard them as one player like Steph, AD, LeBron, any like top 10, maybe top 12 players. You can't throw a single guy on them. Even like Vando on Luka, he had a ton of team help. So the way I came to it and how you have to like break it down is you got to look at, okay, what does Steph score a lot at? So Steph, he scores a ton out of ball screens. He scores a ton of like handoffs and off screen stuff. This is gonna frustrate Laker fans and all your listeners. I'm probably gonna lose a ton followers because of this, and I already tweeted it out. But you got to go drop, but not a low drop. It's got to be a high drop, almost at the level of the screen, if that makes sense. I'm trying to describe this without any like visuals or whatever. But there's very popular stuff going around about, hey, you should double Steph. No, you can't double Steph because Golden State is the best team in the NBA in terms of attacking numbers advantages. And so really your second best option is potentially switching. And I'm a no-go on switching only because the way I'm want to utilize AD in this series would take him out of the play if you were to switch everything. So you kind of go high drop, and then it's going to be a ton of prayer as well for to slow down Steph.
He said high drop and a ton of prayer. That's hilarious. No, but that's a great equation for trying to slow down great players like that. And ultimately, I do think it's a great point of how you talk about not switching, because if the Lakers do switch, then ultimately they're going to run a screen where they get a switch where Anthony Davis is on Curry, and then Anthony Davis gets brought out of the paint. And I think Anthony Davis being in the paint is going to be a huge part of this game. I mean, the Lakers are number one in the league for blocks right now of the teams left. Anthony Davis is a real anchor in the paint. And I mean, I'm not in that Warriors and Kings series, like, not, I wouldn't say willingly, but Curry got inside the paint and scored at really kind of at will, kind of whenever he wanted. But I don't think that's going to be the same situation with the Lakers, just because they have Anthony Davis. So I do like that point of making sure he's planted in there, being that true five, being a true big in the middle.
Yeah, they're gonna need it. It's a big part of my defensive game plan. Is AD, you don't leave the rim.
Man,
get a defensive 3 seconds if you have to. You don't leave the room.
You can't leave the room. Okay, exactly. All right, cool. So then I'll go ahead and keep pushing to kind of like one of my second reasons. That first one was the matchups, or the Warriors won't really be able to match up with the Lakers bigs. And again, you can't match up with Curry, but I feel like the Lakers have a better shot of trying to match up with Curry than what the Warriors do with AD. And then, my second point is, I think it's the bench, man. I mean, in that the Lakers and Grizzlies series, I think one of the biggest difference makers was the fact that the Lakers were just so incredibly deep. I mean, game one, we saw Rui with 29. Game four, Austin Reeves had 23. Game six, D'Lo had 31. And so many other games, like I believe it was game five, D'Lo had hit those like 3 threes at the end to make it a very close game. And I mean, the Lakers were getting wins with Anthony Davis, like not having to perform well. I know, like as a Lakers fan, and I'm sure you could attest to this too, like before the trade, for the Lakers to win, Anthony Davis had to play well. If he didn't play well, the Lakers were going to lose. But now the Lakers, their depth, are starting to really get some wins here without AD having to play well, versus the Warriors. I mean, shout out to Curry, great historic game, but it took a 50-point game. And I'm not even hating on it. I'm not one of those people that's hating on it. Like, it took a 50-point game because Klay couldn't step up. Klay was 1 for 10 in that first half. We know Poole just disappeared, right? Like, the Warriors have gotten no help from the starters nor the bench. And I just think that depth is like a real big reason that favors the Lakers. So I want to get your thoughts on that. How you feel about Lakers depth versus the Warriors depth and that advantage?
I think the biggest, this is one of my favorite reasons why I love this team so much, and you kind of touched on it. It doesn't need to be LeBron or AD every night. Like, if you had told me heading into the season, even heading into like post trade down, the Lakers going to make the playoffs, they're going to win a playoff series where LeBron averages like 22 and AD averages 20. I'm like, you're drunk, and the Lakers probably got swept, because like there's just no way. But like Austin averaged 17, like 5-5 in that series. D'Lo averaged like 17. He wound up getting to like 17. That 31-point game helped boost his stats up, obviously. But like 17 and like 6. Rui was like 15 per game throughout that series. So that's 5 dudes that average 15 plus throughout and we didn't even get a good Dennis game. I think his best game was maybe game 4. You didn't get a good Dennis game. Your shooters like Troy and Beasley were terrible in that series. So that's really, really encouraging. I think I expect better out of Clay. So like I know if Steph has an off night, Clay can definitely light you up. Jordan, but after that, Wiggins is like the more consistent guy. Like Wiggs is going to be a quiet 18 points, but you look up like, oh, well, dang, he had 18, didn't even notice him. But that's the thing with Golden State is can outside of Steph, I'll throw Clay, Steph, Clay, and Wiggs. Like, is there another guy that can consistently give them 15? Because Jordan Poole, when he's on, he's really good, but his shots are just terrible as a coach. Like they make me want to pull the little. I don't have much hair. Wants me to pull it out. And like, are we relying on Draymond Green to score 12 points a game? Like Kevon Looney, 12 points. Like I just don't. The reliability of some of the other guys to score. I get it. They run a very system-oriented offense, but that creates a lot of stuff for the role players. But like, it might be tough for him to score a little bit, especially with the Lakers game plan the right way. So I definitely like the Lakers' depth more, especially if everybody plays well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I love that point you brought up about, I mean, outside of Clay and Andrew, Clay and Andrew Wiggins, who they're in the starting lineup. Yeah, I don't really see anyone who, go off. I mean, agree with Jordan Poole, but it's a roll of a dice. Like it's a roll of a dice with him. Like you really don't know. And besides that, I mean, I can't trust Dante DiVincenzo to go for it. JaMychal Green isn't the same. Jonathan Kuminga he's not ready for that kind of playoff moments. And he's just too young. He's a great player, gonna be a great role player in this league, but just not ready for that. And GP2, that's just not who he is. So I mean, yeah, I think the depth really favors the Lakers, and out of all the teams left right now in the playoffs, the Lakers are second for bench contribution. The Heat are first, and I mean the Warriors are dead last. So I mean, the men lie, women lie, numbers don't, man, because the Lakers got an advantage there. But all right, so let's keep pushing. I'll get to my third point here, and that's another third reason why I think the Lakers are gonna be able to beat the Warriors in 6. And this might sound silly, but I think it's the offensive rebound and second chance points. Those are real difference makers in games. I mean, the Warriors right now are allowing 17 opponents second chance points, and they haven't even really faced a big team like the Lakers. I think the Lakers are going to really take advantage of that in the paint. I mentioned how they were number 1 in the league in blocks, so they're some trees are already bigger. So I really think they're going to be able to exploit that, and also the Warriors just silly turnovers. I mean, they lead the league in turnovers right now. The Lakers going to be able to convert on those, and points off turnovers, offensive rebounds, second chance points. Those are things that make the huge differences in games. So I just kind of wanted to get your idea on that and see how you're feeling about that.
Yeah, like if you look at the 4 factors, which you kind of just touched on, offensive rebound percent. If you don't know what 4 factor is for any of the listeners, offensive rebound percentage, turnover rate, turnover percentage, free throw rate, and effective field goal percentage. A lot of the numbers favor the Lakers. The Warriors have a significant advantage in the effective field goal percentage. They're like 3rd in the NBA. The Warriors, they do turn the ball over at a high frequency, like you said. I think the offensive rebounding thing might neutralize itself out eventually. Like the Warriors do have some good guys that can rebound. Obviously, we know Kevon Looney. Granted, you're facing AD, so it's going to be a little bit of a different battle. But Looney is still a really good offensive rebounder. Wiggs does a good job crashing. Steph is a good rebounder. Not really as much on the offensive glass, but he is a good rebounder. So, excuse me. And then another thing Golden State has some trouble with that lends to the Lakers' favor is the 4th of the 4 factors, the free throw stuff. Lakers are the best team at defending without fouling, and the Lakers are the second best team at getting to the free throw line in the NBA. So the free throw discrepancy, Warrior fans are going to be upset at it, but the Warriors are dead last in free throw rate, and they foul a bunch. So, like, Warrior fans prepare to be upset because your team can't get to the foul line, and they can't not foul. So it's going to be some angry Warrior fans throughout the series.
There's going to be definitely some angry Warriors fans. And I love the fact that you brought up Kevon Looney. That's actually where I was going to go to next. So, like, Kevon Looney did his thing, right? And I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to be someone that's like taking any credit away from him. He did his thing, but I mean, like, I feel like people are forgetting the fact that like he faced a smaller Sabonis. I mean, Stephen A. Smith said something this morning. I was listening to like ESPN and one of those shows. He said Sabonis looked like a power forward out there, and I was laughing because I was like, "That's so true." Like Kevon Looney looked like a real like OG original big original five, and Sabonis just looked like a little boy out there sometimes. And I think that I actually had one of my friends text me like, "Oh, AD is going to be in trouble," and I'm like, "Okay, like I'll give Kevon Looney some credit here. Yeah, he's hustling, but AD is much bigger, much stronger, much faster, much better than Sabonis. So I wanted to get your thought. Do you think Kevon Looney is going to cause us any trouble? Or how do you feel about that situation?
I think Kevon Looney's a good player. I put him in my tier similar to guys like Josh Hart, where elite level role player. Every championship team needs a guy like a Kevon Looney or a Josh Hart. I think Austin Reeves is honestly kind of that category as well. But to where I'm like losing sleep over AD, no, I'm no, not at all. AD's gonna neutralize, or in theory, he should neutralize Looney on the offensive glass. And then in terms of AD's offense and Looney, you can't play AD like they played Sabonis. Like they were like leaving Sabonis open. If you leave AD open, AD's gonna go for 40. And they were allowing Looney to play one on one with Sabonis. Granted, Golden State lets you play one on one in post up, so but eventually, Golden State's gonna have to make the adjustment and not let you play one on one. Because if you let AD go one on one from the post, it's gonna be a long night for you, a long series, more importantly. So, again, Looney's a great player, fantastic. The contract they got him on is a steal, one of the best value contracts in the NBA. But I'm not losing sleep over Kevon Looney, with all due respect.
I love that answer, man. With all due respect, yeah, we definitely not losing no sleep. But all right, cool, cool. So I mean, I think I think right there, like that, those are three reasons that I think just like off top that I think the Lakers have the advantage is that being the offensive rebound, the second chance points, turnovers, the bench, and then definitely the Lakers matching up with them. And then the only final piece, and this isn't like a crazy changing piece, I would add is the Lakers. They do have the season series on them, and I know the Warriors technically have the better record. They're going to get home court and all that, but I think that those wins they matter just a little bit to know that you have the upper hand in the regular season, a little bit of a mental advantage. But before I get you out of here, brother, look, we talked about a lot, with the Lakers and advantages they have. And this is gonna, go on the Lakers corner, which is my YouTube page, and all Lakers fans is gonna see this, but we also got to talk about the bad side of it, right? Because there's some cons to this, right? So what I want to know is, what are some of your concerns, from the Lakers side of things coming into this series?
If AD gets into any foul trouble for some reason, that's a big one because, I mean, when you have Anthony Davis on your team, your defensive game plan should revolve around him. And go figure, my game plan I came up with revolves around AD. So if he gets into any foul trouble, if for some reason your players don't do a good enough job navigating screens, especially the off-ball looks, because Golden State, 20% of their scoring possessions are off like off ball screens and cutting and stuff like that. You can neutralize those in one simple way, and if you botch that, that opens up a large chunk of their offense, especially in the half court, because 20%. I think it's like 20% of their scoring possessions are in transition. So like 80% of their offense is in the half court. You can cut out a fourth of their half court offense if you do it the right way. So I don't know. So that if you botch some of your coverages or whatever, and then if you don't have like another guard, like if none of the other guards show up, I expect one to two of them for the most part consistently between like D'Lo, Austin, and Dennis to show up. Especially like a D'Lo, man, because if D'Lo's playing well, he just makes life so much easier for these other guys. It allows Austin to exert more energy defensively because he doesn't have to do as much on offense. It allows LeBron to take possessions off offensively and be off ball and cut or spot up or whatever. And he already has really good chemistry with AD as well. So that is another thing. Like, can the guards show up consistently? And that's about it, honestly, from the worry standpoint. like outside of like the obvious, like duh, Steph Curry worries me. Like
Yeah.
duh, like what, at least
Yeah.
something we don't already know. But like outside of that, those are the bigger things that come to mind because if you talk about AD double teams, Lakers have shown from a process standpoint they can counter it. Same thing with like ball screens or stuff like that. So yeah, those are probably the biggest things. But the biggest one with a bullet is AD don't get in foul trouble.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But for as far as my concerns, I have, three, just like I had, three big reasons why we're going to win. I have three big concerns and definitely AD foul trouble, but I also group that in just AD health, right? Because AD's health is like absolutely everything. I mean, like the Lakers season is just holding on to AD's bones. Like if something happens to AD's Lakers season is gone. So that's one big concern that I have. Another concern that I have is I think just the Warriors' constant offense, man. I feel like every time I watch the Warriors, it's nonstop. Like the ball can be at the top of the key.
Yeah.
You will have either Stephen Curry or you'll have Klay Thompson, somebody just running baseline, just constantly running baseline, or running from elbow to elbow, just going everywhere. And I feel like a lot of times Lakers they won't really get caught lacking on ball. They're paying attention on ball, but it's somebody that's off ball that's like out of position or just not ready, especially AD. AD gets caught a lot out of position and just sometimes his wingspan, his ability, his jumping ability sometimes can cover for it and he's able to get the block. But a lot of times they get caught sleeping. So that's a big concern. I don't want the Lakers to get caught sleeping. Then also you touched on it, the screens, right? I think going under screens in that Grizzly series, I was losing my head in that last game I believe it was the game before last game when the Lakers kept going under Desmond Bane's screens and he just kept hidden and they kept going under Tyus Jones screens. And I'm like, what are you doing? So like to me, I thought it was abundantly clear. We cannot go under on Desmond Bane's screens. But if the Lakers don't understand it, yo, listen up now. Do not go under these damn screens on the Warriors. I don't care who it is. Just they got like, even if it's the worst shooter on the team, they just got the mojo of Stephen Curry. That team could just shoot. Do not go under. So those are my top three biggest concerns. Heading into the series as a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident if Draymond Green gets a ball screen, you could go under that. I'm pretty confident.
There you go. You're right. We can go under Draymond's balls. Draymond's just gonna just give it up to LeBron. Like,
just
LeBron,
give it up.
Here you go. LeBron. Here you go. Man, that is
dude. He was willing. I don't know if you saw the quote. He was willing to go like leave his team to go watch LeBron. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, that's low key corny. Like your team is struggling, and you're more worried about instead of like forget the team. I'm gonna go watch LeBron break this scoring record. Like, bro, I get it, but come on, man.
No, I agree. I mean, look, I'm all in supporting for your friends and being there for your friends, but I think he'd do it a little too much. Yeah, it was wild though. So Draymond Green is just always riding LeBron in some way, somehow.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
That's wild. But all right, brother. So look, before I get you out of here, I gotta know. So if you had to predict who's gonna be the MVP of this series, so I know we know you got Lakers in 6. Who to you is gonna be the MVP of the series?
AD. But and for the reasons I've been saying the whole show, like if based on how I want to use AD, if the Lakers gonna win this series, it's gonna be because AD was that good, especially defensively, and then also give you 25 points a night or whatever, like regular Anthony Davis production while being the best defender arguably in the NBA. And I will say this because I forgot to say it earlier, that game 6 from AD, in terms of my personal viewing experience, and I don't know how he only had 4 blocks or whatever, by the way, that was a top 5 greatest defensive performance I've ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating. Call it recency bias, whatever you want, but like that game 6 from AD was that freaking good. So any way in heck that you can get that from AD in this series coming up, it's got to be AD for me, for my MVP.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think AD is gonna have to be the MVP if the Lakers want to win, and if all this that we said was gonna happen, I think the Lakers have to run their offense through AD, and they also have to run their defense through AD. Everything has to be run through AD, as a matter of fact. And if somehow, some way, historic, miraculously the Warriors end up pulling this out, which I don't think is going to happen, would you have Curry as MVP or kind of who would you have?
Curry.
Curry, yeah, because it's going to be a Curry like 50-point hero game if it happens. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Curry. There isn't anybody else on that team where I'm like, they could win MVP.
Yeah.
Curry. Maybe Clay or like a Wiggins. If like Wiggins is, I don't know. No, Curry.
I'm not even gonna try to talk myself into that. Just Curry. Yeah, I feel you. All right, for sure, brother. Well, man, I think it's a good place for us to go ahead and wrap it up, man.
Just Curry.
Just Curry. That's it. That's all I gotta say, man. For the family out there, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Brought on a real special guest, man. My guy Sean Davis came, hold it down. Talking about the Lakers. My guy, do you have any last words to say before we skedaddle out of here?
No, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a ton of fun. And Lakers in 6.
Yes, sir, man. Lakers in 6, man. And if for the family out there, if you want to check out all of Sean's work, again, everything will be linked in the description down below. Make sure you go check my guy out. Make sure you throw my guy a follow, subscribe, all that, man. But if that's it, then we out of here, y'all. Let's talk out. Peace.